Hello, my friends. Mike Ferrossi coming to you again from the studio. And if you've been paying attention over the last year, you know that I've spent a lot of time in here making incredible content for first-time home buyers, from educational content, walking them through the entire process, from beginning to end of buying your first home, all the way to news updates on basically every move that's been made by the Biden administration to try to help first-time or first-generation homebuyers in somehow, some way. Maybe one of those things will pass soon. And hey, you might even get another update from me, but it's not going to look like this because it's time to pivot. So pivot I will. The studio is getting redressed. I'm going to spend the next 2 or 3 days changing basically everything. The lighting's going to change. I'm going to use some old lighting that I haven't worked with in a while just to see if it still looks good. I feel like that'll be a fun project. The camera, the lens, that might change. I'm working on an overlay to lay on top of this beautiful desk here just to change colors a little bit so it fits the new set decor, if you will. The background, I might add some stuff, inject a little bit of my own personality. But either way, the studio's changing. I'm not sure what the final product's going to look like yet, but you will in just a few seconds because this is a before and after video. So I'm going to get to work. I got to take some of this stuff away. I'm just going to start it now. You guys go ahead and cut to the next scene where everything's finished. I'll see you on the other side.
2 weeks later.
And here we are. Okay. So it took a little longer than a few days, but that's what's going to happen when you're waiting on a bunch of stuff to get delivered. Welcome to the new set. We went from light mode to dark mode, a little bit more of a home office vibe for 2022, and I'm really looking forward to shooting here. Now, I put out a little poll on LinkedIn. It didn't get many votes, but the votes that did come in all wanted me to nerd out on gear and give you an overview of exactly what I'm using in this setup. Audio, video gear, lighting, microphones, all that stuff. So we are going to get into it. And for those of you who I know are getting ready to pause this video, zoom in, and really dive into all this stuff back here, be patient, stick around till the end. There's some nice shots of everything, so you'll be able to get a little glimpse into who I am and what I like. There's a lot of nerd stuff and toys back there, but it's okay to like what you like, so I don't mind it. These are the last 2 pieces that have come in. The DeLorean and Ecto-1 prints. I'm a big fan of them. They added a much-needed pop of color to this wall. It was looking really plain. It looked like I put a lot of effort over here and no effort over here. Just the blank wall wasn't working for me. And I did a little testing, and turns out that if I ever have to give you guys some detailed information or I want to put some numbers up over on this side of the screen, it's okay. We found a way to do it to where the background stuff isn't going to be too distracting. You're going to be able to read stuff just fine. So we have a nice little homey vibe going on in here for the studio. Let's start with some gear. The first thing I want to go over is this little beauty. This is a gorgeous camera, new to me. It's a Fujifilm XS10. I don't know if the camera's going to focus on this. It will a little bit. We're looking pretty good. The lighting's not great for this. This is the one thing that I don't have nicer, more detailed shots for, because this is what I was using to make those nicer, more detailed shots. Like I said, newer camera to me. It's small, it's light, it's lovely. It has fantastic in-body image stabilization and has made for some pretty nice handheld B-roll. The lens I have on here is just the standard kit lens. It's an 18-55 zoom. It's a variable aperture, which is usually a huge red flag for photographers and videographers alike. But this variable aperture is a f2.8 to a f4. So it's a really, really high quality kit lens. I like the Fujifilm stuff. I like the tactile dials and controls that they put on the top. I like that I can adjust the aperture from the lens. Instead, I like all these nice, I love those nice little tactile clicks that you get for shooting on the fly. This is just a beautiful little camera. It's not top of the line at all. Super affordable. It's probably cheaper than they should be charging for it. Highly recommended Fujifilm XS10 as a B camera. Like I said, 18-55 zoom lens on this. Gives you a nice range. All Fuji's lenses are solid metal in their build, and they're just gorgeous. The A camera, which I'm talking to right now, is a little bit older, but that was a flagship model from Fujifilm. It is the XT2, coupled with the Fujifilm, it's a 35mm f1.4 lens. It's an old lens. It's an older camera. The autofocus is slow. It's not the most accurate, but boy, oh boy, is the image quality beautiful. I'm willing to give up the best autofocus in the world to have image quality that looks like this, because at the end of the day, this is my A camera, which means it's locked down on a tripod. So let's talk about the tripod. It's a brand new one to me. It's a Manfrotto. I don't know the name. I was just looking for a tripod with a really nice video head and some solid legs underneath it. So it's a beautiful Manfrotto tripod, and as you see here, the XT2 with the 35mm f1.4 lens is mounted inside of a box of sorts, and that box is a Glide Gear teleprompter. I'm not reading off a teleprompter now, but I quite often do. Mortgage and real estate videos can get pretty technical sometimes, and I want to make sure I keep all that information straight. If it's going to be a video like that, I script it out, I pop it on to the iPad via the Prompt Smart Pro application. I like the Prompt Smart Pro teleprompter application personally because you don't have to pick a scrolling speed. It actually recognizes your voice and scrolls along with the cadence of your speech. And to pick up the cadence of my speech, I plug in a cheap little $20 lavalier mic into the iPad. Now, there's no lavalier mic on my shirt, but it's taped down here right behind the desk. This shot's going to show you where that lavalier mic is, and it's also going to give you a really good look at the desk top. A piece of 1/8" plywood cut to the same size as your desktop, plus a can of dark walnut stain will do wonders for the look in your video setup. So that's what I'm working with. It's not the highest quality piece of wood. That's okay. It already has a bunch of scratches and stuff on it. That's okay too. I like the character that this is going to pick up over the course of the year. I keep saying for 2022, over the course of the year, building and designing sets is just so much fun for me that I think I've decided to kind of make this a thing. So you saw the previous set that I was using for Homebuyer on the beginning of this video. That was the look for 2021. This is the look for 2022. I think we're going to go ahead and commit to a redesign when it hits 2023. But we have a lot of good content to make until then. Continuing on in the setup, other lenses that I use, I have two more for my Fujifilm setup. One is probably the most superb lens I've ever used and the best lens that I own. Kind of funny that I'm not using it in this setup right now. It's because it's wider. It's a 16mm f1.4. I use that for a lot of landscape photography, and honestly it's my go-to lens for like Zoom calls and live streams and things like that. And then the other lens that's coupled with that is the Minolta 85mm. It's a really old classic vintage Minolta lens that has an adapter on it that lets me mount it to my Fujifilm cameras, and that is it's one of the most beautiful portrait lenses that I've been able to acquire on the cheap. Moving on to some lighting. I work with a 3-light setup. Key light here. I have I guess a hair / shoulder light up here, and then I have a little fill light working over here. So the key light is this really cheap 2-foot by 2-foot square softbox with a funky alien looking LED light bulb inside of it. It's $20 on Amazon, but it puts out a ton of great light. I have a little LED panel over here. It's highly diffused and it's on minimum power, but it just gives that little extra fill to this side of my face so things aren't going so dark. And then back here we kind of have a sunlight, like a golden light color temperature to, make the hair look half decent. It's getting thinner these days, so I got to do everything that I can to make it look good. And it separates me from the background a little bit. So that's my 3 lights. In addition to these lights that are lighting the shelves back here, these are pretty cool. I found these on Amazon as well. These are actually closet lights, I believe. A full charge gives you like 5 hours of light, which is awesome. It's just a little touch on the top, and it's gonna go into SOS mode. So let me hide that from you because that's really annoying. But when you first turn it on, you get the full color spectrum. The white and the golden LEDs are both lit, or white and yellow, however you prefer. Another touch takes you to a cool white, and another touch takes you to a nice golden yellow warm light. Microphone. You hear me? I'm recording that on something. It's probably my favorite piece of kit in the entire setup. I feel very spoiled to be able to use a Sennheiser MKH416. If you know, you know. If you don't, they're not cheap. They're very nice. They're worth every penny. We'll leave it at that. It's a beautiful shotgun mic, and it's about this far from my mouth. It's as close as possible while still being out of frame there, just because that's how you're going to get the best audio and drown out the most background noise. That MKH416 is running into a Zoom H4n field recorder, which is providing it the power that it needs to run, and it's also feeding some audio back into the camera, as well as capturing separate audio onto a memory card. It's a little device, it's an old device, it still turns on, it still works, and it does the job, so I have no need to upgrade to any fancy sort of audio capture equipment. Not yet. Maybe that day will come, maybe it won't. We'll see. Now, I don't constantly monitor audio. You're not going to find headphones on this set for a separate person who's an audio engineer and making sure everything sounds good 100% of the time. I trust that my settings are locked down to a point to where we're going to get that anyway. But from a visual perspective, I want to know everything's still going pretty well. So I need to see what you guys are seeing right now, not just the camera on a tripod with a teleprompter that I'm looking at. And to do that, right here on the end of the desk, just out of frame, you can't quite see it, but it's right in my face. There's a 7-inch field monitor, 4K, beautiful picture by a company called Elvid. Found it on B&H Photo. They're not super expensive. There are field monitors that cost many multiples of times of money than this one does, but this does the job that I need it to do. It lets me look at how everything looks as you're seeing it, so that way, if something's wrong, it can be changed right away. I'm not wasting my time making videos that look like crap, and heck, it really does help me keep an eye on camera settings and all that jazz so we can keep things running cleanly. There you go. Quick walkthrough of the new studio setup for 2022. I'm really looking forward to bringing you guys so much more content than I've been able to over the past few weeks. I've been a bit on hiatus with this whole build, and I mean, we're ready to hit record and go at it pretty hard. So I'm going to be launching a new YouTube channel pretty soon. I'm still going to be posting as much stuff as possible to LinkedIn. We're going to do a little bit of Twitter. We might dabble in some TikTok or some YouTube shorts, things like that. You probably won't catch me doing any dances, so don't get your hopes up. But we're going to test some things and see if we can get some more eyeballs on the mortgage and real estate industry like we should be able to. I don't know. I tried to save you guys from the pounding sounds. Like we should be able to, right? And in the meantime, I'm building something new. It's going to be super, and I can't wait to show it to you. Okay, I'll stop babbling. For those of you who have been so patient and want to see a detailed look of everything that's on my shelves with all those fun little personal touches that I like to toss in there, here's your B-roll. Enjoy it. Thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.